We don't have a name for this style of segment, but Matt and I obviously want to use as much time on these shows just to point people to what's going on with labor struggles in this country because they're important. And I want to start. Should we start with the Smithfield story? Or should we start with what's going on in Alabama?
Let's start with Alabama.
I don't know if you have the video here, but
Yep, I'll play it right now.
Matt and I obviously have been trying to cover as much as possible the fight at Warrior Met. It's still ongoing. People can check my Twitter. I've retweeted a couple links recently of places you can continue to donate to the strike fund. People still need that money because the company is trying to starve them out. But even worse than that, the company is now taking a play out of a playbook that we thought had been buried, which is actually physically assaulting people who on the picket line. And there has been an extremely worrying increase of vehicle ramming of the picket line in Alabama. And this is playing right now.
Yep.
And this is just one of them, right? I mean, we could pull up 10, 15 videos of this stuff at this point.
Yeah, they got a compilation of like 4 here.
And some of them are, honestly, anytime a vehicle rams into people, that's alarming enough. Some of these are at higher velocities too, that are very damaging. People have been sent to the hospital. People have been hurt. And there has been crickets from even local media, but certainly national media on this. And it's not something that we can let the company get away with. It's already disgusting enough that they're sending in these scabs that it seems very, very likely, though has been proven, are polluting the community. But this kind of like aggression is despicable. I don't know if you have it prepared. I can just read it myself. If not, I sent you a DM a second ago with a statement from the president of UMWA about this, because I think it's worth reading out in full and just remind people this fight is not over. For one, not to get distracted or off rails, one, this fight is not over. And Jesus Christ, the commitment of people to continue this fight is nothing short of inspiring. Not just the workers themselves on the picket line, but the community, family members, and all the people who have been coming to support people in their fight for fair wages and a decent future is absolutely beautiful. And we need to continue showing that support because they're hoping, our opponents, the company, that people stop paying attention. And that's why I wanted to make sure that we drew attention to this egregious example of violence against people. They're hoping that we're not paying attention anymore.
Exactly, because if they get away with that and people don't make a big stink out of it, then it is successful intimidation.
Yes. And do we have this handy?
Yeah, I'll put it up right now if you want to read it.
And this was tweeted out by Alex Press, who, by the way, has a great show now on Jackman Radio about Amazon. People should check out.
Called Prime.
But this is a statement from the mine workers from UMWA. It's from the president, Cecil E. Roberts. Warrior Met personnel, either management or non-union workers, have repeatedly struck our members who are engaging in legal picket line activities with their vehicles. We have members in casts. We have members in the hospital. We have members who are concerned about their families and potential violence against them if they come back to the picket line. We have been to court on multiple occasions regarding what we can and cannot do on the picket lines, and our members respect the guidance of the court. Warrior Met seems to believe that this is all right to strike people with cars as they engage in legal protected activity. This is a dangerous course of action that can swiftly lead to events spiraling out of control. That is the last thing anyone should want. I call on Warrior Met to back away from violence and finally come to the bargaining table in good faith, ready to hammer out a fair and reasonable agreement. But if Warrior Met decides to continue inspiring violence on the picket lines, their leadership should understand that UMWA members have been subjected to company violence for 131 years and will not be deterred from seeking a fair contract for them and their families. We are still here, and we will remain here long after those leaders have gone.
That's a great statement.
And I want to just remind people who might be coming across this video or this story for the first time that what people here are asking for is very simple. The financial conglomerate that has taken over this mine has been making exceptional profit recently. And despite the fact that the workers who have created so much value for the company democratically decided to take a pay cut when times were tough for the mine, they said, we will sacrifice to ensure the security of this mine going forward, right? Now that this company is making money, they are asking that they get a fair contract. Any worker anywhere asking for a fair contract should be listened to and should be understood, and those demands should be met. But in this circumstance, it's extremely clear who the bad actors are. A financial corporation that is pretty much centered in New York City, right, that just came and bought this mine out, is now trying to hold these workers hostage despite the incredible sacrifices that they've made in the past. It's there just really is no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It's very clear, and we have to continue to keep our eyes on it.
And let's move to Sioux Falls, South Dakota now. I'm a North Dakota, I was North Dakota born and raised. The Dakotas, at least North Dakota, don't have a huge, and as far as I know, have never had a huge union saturation as far as those industries. So I didn't, the only unionized people I knew growing up were trains, Burlington, Northern Santa Fe stuff. But besides that, I didn't really have a whole lot of experience or exposure to it. But so I was interested to find that this union vote. I'm going to put this up now at the Smithfield Foods plant here. 4,000 workers, and I'll put it up again so people can see it once more. Smithfield Foods pork processing plant in South Dakota said it will head to contract negotiations Tuesday, armed with the authorization to call a strike. And point out here it was overwhelmingly approved late Monday with 98% of the vote total. The union
Just
said.
Huge. Just for people who aren't familiar with this kind of stuff, that's an incredible authorization line. And
they're basically trying to come up with the JBS pork plant in the region. Seems completely reasonable to me. And they are fairly dug in, it appears. Yeah, we're not going to change our stand. The union is demanding the Smithfield boost its wage offerings in a 4-year contract to match those at the JBS pork plant in the region, as well as make several other concessions on break times and employee health insurance cost. Shout out to everybody in Sioux Falls. A strike at the plant, which produces roughly 5% of the nation's pork supply, could create ripple effects. So they got leverage here. Anything you want to emphasize about this, David?
No, I mean, it's just an exciting moment. I think that, I don't want to be premature on things, but there has been a really exciting mobilization of labor unions and workers across the board in this country, and I'm hoping that continues.
Yeah.
So all solidarity with them, and like getting 98% to authorize a strike is an incredible turnout, which means they're serious. And I think, should remind people that there's a lot of hope and there's a lot of potential for mobilization, even when, things can seem a little bit dire politically.
Yeah. And it's just interesting to me. Like, I also remember when I was in college, the Kesey cafeteria workers, Kesey in Minnesota University Moorhead, and I forget the parent company, which is the big one, which is it's one of these big, and we've heard them come up, but the cafeteria workers were on strike. Sodexo. And I it's the sort of thing where we hear this talk about, should I move someplace to be closer to the political struggle or whatever? It's like, this stuff happens in your backyard all the time.
Stuff going on everywhere.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I can't give anyone life advice. But I literally came back home because I went to New York feeling like, okay, if I want to do this kind of stuff, I felt like I had to go to a place like that. And it's almost a year in New York was fun. And I got to meet Matt and Michael and all these great people, but almost immediately I was like, holy shit, like there's all this stuff happening in Texas and in South Carolina that I would love to be a part of. And I sort of regretted it, and that's why I came back.
Yeah. And I was talking to one of my friends where we were on the newspaper staff, and we supported this and we gave it plenty of coverage, but still like like if I went back there now, I'd have been more active in that, right? Like we supported it because that's what, you know, the liberal college, you know, newspaper kids would do, but like didn't consider it part of our struggle in any real way at all. And you know, lo and behold, like you said, I mean, yeah, I stay there, and yeah, all those people, the 98%. Well, let's just shout out the 98%. Those 2%, you know, you got work to do. But yeah, just stay strong, and we got your back. But that's great.